Imagine waking up one day to find that the world's most powerful currency is no longer in control. Welcome to 2025. The US dollar, which has ruled global trade for over 80 years, is under attack. Today, we explore how BRICS, the emerging powerhouse nations, are challenging the dollar, what this means for global finance, and most importantly, how it could affect your savings and investments. Stay tuned, because this is a story that could reshape your financial future. Since 1944, the US dollar has been the backbone of international trade and the key weapon in US sanctions. But its dominance is slipping. Global dollar reserves have fallen from over 70% 2 decades ago to roughly 58% today. More than 50 countries are actively seeking alternatives, conducting trade in local currencies, and openly challenging dollar reliance. The question is, what happens when the foundation of global finance starts to shake? The BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, are taking decisive steps to reduce reliance on the dollar. They are trading more in local currencies, building alternative payment systems to bypass SWIFT, and even discussing a shared digital or basket-backed currency for cross-border commerce. China, for example, has flipped its overseas trade. More than 50% of transactions are now in yuan instead of dollars. Every transaction away from the dollar chips away at U.S. financial dominance and reshapes the global economy. The U.S. has responded aggressively. Tariffs have been threatened and applied, up to 50% on Indian and Brazilian exports. President Trump described these measures as a way to defend the dollar, warning BRICS countries to stop what he calls a war on the dollar. But instead of dividing the bloc, these tariffs are pushing BRICS nations closer together. India is refusing to buy American weapons. Brazil is retaliating with its own tariffs. And China and India, who rarely align, are now coordinating economic ties. The stakes couldn't be higher. So how does this affect everyday Americans? Higher tariffs on imports could cost U.S. consumers and businesses up to $56 billion annually. If BRICS nations continue to trade in yuan, rubles, or a shared currency, global demand for U.S. dollars will decline. That means fewer buyers for U.S. Treasury bonds, higher interest rates, and more expensive borrowing for you and me. Sanctions, one of the U.S.'s most powerful geopolitical tools, will also lose effectiveness. Investors are already reacting. Safe haven assets like gold and Bitcoin are outperforming. Bond yields are volatile, reflecting uncertainty. And other emerging markets are watching closely, deciding whether to side with the U.S. or the BRICS bloc. This is not just about finance. It's about a power shift. BRICS is expanding. Indonesia joined in 2025, and 9 more countries want in. Together, they now account for roughly half of global GDP and over 2/3 of the world population. They control key commodities, oil, rare earth metals, agricultural staples, giving them leverage the U.S. cannot ignore. The world is moving toward a multipolar financial system. Nations are deciding whether to stick with the U.S. dollar or explore alternatives. This is history in the making. The U.S. dollar isn't collapsing overnight, but the trend is clear. De-dollarization is real, BRICS is gaining power, and global finance is changing. What does this mean for you? Stay informed, diversify investments, consider safe haven assets, and watch global trends closely. The strength of the dollar has been a built-in advantage for U.S. investors for decades. Cheaper imports, lower borrowing costs, higher purchasing power abroad. If that starts to change, positioning your portfolio to benefit from a shifting global economy is more important than ever. This isn't a prediction of disaster, but a story of change. The world is adapting, and the question is, are you ready to adapt with it? Remember, understanding these trends early gives you a strategic advantage. Keep an eye on interest rates, global commodity movements, and which currencies BRICS chooses for trade. This is a financial transformation that could impact every aspect of life, from the price of goods you buy, to the interest on your loans, to the returns on your investments. The choices BRICS makes, the way they trade, the alliances they form, and the currencies they use, all signal a new era in global finance. It's an era where the US dollar may no longer have unquestioned dominance. For investors, consumers, and governments alike, awareness and preparation are key. So, the next time you hear news about BRICS, tariffs, or currency shifts, remember this: it's not just politics. It's your money, your investments, and the global economy in motion. Make sure you are informed, prepared, and ready to navigate this changing financial landscape. The world is shifting, and 2025 may be remembered as the year the dollar faced its first serious challenge. Understanding, adapting, and preparing is no longer optional, it's necessary.